If you think sleeping less is just about feeling groggy or needing an extra coffee, think again. Chronic sleep deprivation isn't just an inconvenience, it's a full-blown metabolic disaster unfolding silently in millions of bodies every night. The truth is, losing sleep isn't just stealing your energy. It's hijacking your hormones, wrecking your blood sugar, inflating your waistline, and setting you up for a lifelong subscription to Metabolic Syndrome Monthly, complete with bonus features like insulin resistance, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes. Let's start with what metabolic syndrome actually is: a cluster of conditions that include abdominal obesity, elevated blood pressure, high fasting blood sugar, abnormal cholesterol or triglyceride levels, and, of course, impaired insulin sensitivity. If you check off 3 or more of these, congratulations. Your body has joined the pre-disease club and is sprinting toward full-blown chronic illness. And poor sleep? It's one of the fastest ways to get there. Numerous large-scale epidemiological studies have confirmed the link. Adults who regularly get fewer than 6 hours of sleep per night are at significantly higher risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension, independent of diet or exercise. In fact, the correlation is so strong that sleep duration is now considered a modifiable risk factor for metabolic dysfunction. Translation: you're not just tired, you're actively damaging your body's metabolic engine every time you stay up late watching just one more episode. So, what exactly goes wrong when you skimp on sleep? First, let's talk hormones. Sleep is when your endocrine system recalibrates. Cut sleep short and ghrelin, the hunger hormone, shoots up, while leptin, the satiety hormone, drops. The result? You feel hungrier, especially for high-carb, high-fat comfort food. Your willpower doesn't stand a chance. You're not just sleepy, you're being chemically manipulated into eating like a raccoon in a dumpster. Second, poor sleep impairs glucose metabolism. Even a single night of restricted sleep can lead to decreased insulin sensitivity the next day. Over time, this progresses to chronic insulin resistance, the precursor to type 2 diabetes. Your pancreas starts working overtime, your blood sugar stays high longer, and your cells become increasingly deaf to insulin's call. Eventually, you're not just craving donuts, you're becoming metabolically incapable of processing them. Third, cortisol, your primary stress hormone, also spikes when you're sleep deprived. This isn't a good thing. Elevated nighttime cortisol not only disrupts deep sleep stages, but also contributes to visceral fat accumulation, especially around the abdomen. That tired but wired feeling you get after staying up late? It's not resilience, it's cortisol-induced chaos, and your belly fat is paying the price. Then there's blood pressure. Normally, your blood pressure dips during deep sleep, a phenomenon called nocturnal dipping. But when you don't sleep enough, or your sleep is fragmented, this drop doesn't occur. Instead, your blood pressure stays elevated all night, pushing you closer to chronic hypertension. Over time, this puts immense strain on your cardiovascular system, raising your risk of stroke, heart attack, and arterial damage. And don't assume weekend sleep-ins fix the damage. Chronic sleep restriction builds up a metabolic debt that's hard to pay off. In fact, studies show that while catch-up sleep may improve mood or alertness, it doesn't reverse the hormonal and metabolic impairments caused by prior sleep loss. You can't nap your way out of chronic inflammation or long-term insulin resistance. What's especially cruel is that this whole process becomes a feedback loop. As your metabolic health declines, sleep gets worse. Obesity increases the risk of sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops during sleep, fragmenting it even further. Insulin resistance is associated with decreased melatonin production and circadian misalignment. In other words, poor sleep leads to metabolic dysfunction, which then leads to even worse sleep. And let's not forget the long game. People with persistent sleep deprivation have a significantly higher lifetime risk of developing type 2 diabetes. One meta-analysis of over 500,000 participants found that short sleep, less than 6 hours per night, increased diabetes risk by 28%. Combine that with elevated blood pressure and belly fat, and you're practically crafting your own metabolic bomb, set to detonate sometime around your mid-40s, sooner if you're particularly stressed, sedentary, or screen-obsessed. Here's your friendly but brutal warning. If you're burning the candle at both ends, you're not just tired, you're metabolically deranged. Your blood sugar doesn't care about your deadlines. Your insulin isn't impressed by your productivity. And your waistline is not going to be grateful for those 2 a.m. nachos you rationalized because you deserved a break. Sleep is not optional. It is not me time. It is not a luxury. It is a foundational pillar of metabolic regulation, and ignoring it is like skipping oil changes and wondering why the engine lights on. If you're gaining weight without changing your diet, feeling constantly hungry, developing high blood pressure, or noticing your blood sugar creeping up, look at your sleep first, not just your snacks. Because in the end, the most dangerous part of poor sleep isn't how it makes you feel in the morning. It's what it's doing to your body in the background, every night, turning your metabolism into a slow, silent, and completely preventable train wreck.